Good time of day, guys. My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.5 Meakashi. Last episode was a fucking trip. That's for damn sure. Shion met Rena, who was being very, very creepy to her, and then Shion decided, what if I swap places with Mion, go to her school, and then beat the ever-loving fuck out of Satoko? That was lovely, you know, and I took it incredibly seriously the whole time and didn't make some jokes in poor taste. So, yeah, that was something. But anyways, ever since last episode, a new episode of Go has aired, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about that right now. So we're going into Go spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for Go, then mute right now, or pain, I guess. Alright, I don't really have too much to say about this episode compared to others. I know there have been times where I've said, hey, I don't have too much to say about this episode, so I won't talk for long, and then I talk for 10 minutes anyways, but I don't think I'll do that this time. At least, I don't think I will. Poorly aged quotes, probably, but we'll see. Really, all I can say, though, is I think Satoko's gonna kill Rika. That's all. Like, okay, so my reasoning is that obviously Go started for a reason. Rika went into more time loops, probably because she died. Probably because, well, she died. And I doubt that she died of old age. I don't think this is going to end peaceably. So I think the point of this arc is to see exactly what led Rika to being in these new time loops in Go. And, yeah, I guess the obvious answer, which we probably should have seen the whole time, is, oh, new time loops? Guess she died. But who killed her? Satoko, most likely suspect, because I get the feeling Satoko's gonna kill her, and her motive is probably gonna be something along the lines of, if I can't be your best friend, then no one deserves to be around you. I don't know if Satoko's only gonna kill Rika. She might kill others. She could. I don't know. I don't think that part's relevant. I think she's going to kill others, maybe with influence from Hanyu/Featherin, maybe under the effects of Hinamizawa syndrome. I don't know, but I think she's going to kill Rika. I think this could also potentially explain the little scene from the opening, showing a character that looks like older Satoko, which at this point, yeah, that's more or less older Satoko for sure. I think that scene's probably meant to be from the scene that we've yet to see of Satoko killing Rika. Maybe. I don't know. That or something else. I don't know. I think it's gonna go one of two ways. Satoko's gonna kill Rika, or Featherin/Hanyu/Oyashiro/whatever the fuck is going to just be like, hey, you two, back to the past, loop around. I think the former would make more sense, given the fact that we've really seen Satoko in a downward spiral over the course of, not this arc so far, but this episode, because the first episode of the arc, she was just vibing the whole fucking time. Like, she was just being Satoko. But then the second episode, you know, fucking whack, you know. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say. I don't know how this is going to play more into Burncastle and Lambda Delta. I still think it's gonna. But I don't know. It could be realistically that Satoko's in love with Rika, but doesn't want to admit it. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Given the relationship that Lambda Delta and Burncastle have, it would make sense. If Burncastle's supposed to be Rika and Lambda Delta's supposed to be Satoko, it makes sense. Especially more so than Lambda Delta being Takano. Let's be fucking real there. That would be odd. It makes a little more sense with Rika and Satoko. So, yeah. I think that's what it's gotta be. As for how we get there, I don't fucking know. But I'm getting the feeling that there's only gonna be one or two more episodes of at least the parts where we're seeing the epilogue of Matsuri Bayashi. I accidentally said prologue the other episode, so sorry about that. I meant to say epilogue, so yes. That's really all I have to say, so let's just get back into the game. Alright, let's begin then. I was looking up at the ceiling with my arms and legs spread out. It's not that I wasn't getting hungry. I didn't live with my parents. I didn't live in the school dorm. That meant I had to cook something myself when I wanted to eat. I knew that, but I still didn't feel like getting up. It had been several days since I began this empty life. It must be tomorrow. The Watanagashi festival, I mean. Ooh, we're gonna see some shit. I heard the doorbell ringing. Kasai? I ignored it at first, but it rung persistently. I started hearing knocking, alongside Kasai's rude voice, yep. Shion-san, please open up. I bought some food for you. I didn't ask him to. He must have known that I hadn't eaten enough and that I'd been feeling down lately. You haven't eaten, have you? Also, I was told in the comments a couple episodes ago that Kasai's manga gamer sprite is apparently a lot better and this one's pretty ugly. So, let's take a look and see what the man looks like. Where it is. Boop. Yo! Okay. I like the skull tie. Does he have... He doesn't have the fucking skull tie in this one, does he? No, it's just a boring-ass tie. God, they make him look so much cooler in that. Jesus. Yeah, that is a much better sprite. Holy crap. Man. I really wish I could make that just his default sprite, because it looks so much cooler. Whatever. Alright, well, we'll deal with the Virgin Kasai instead of the Chad Kasai. You haven't eaten, have you? No, I'm not hungry. But when Kasai put the food on the table, my stomach reacted in a very primitive way by making some noise. Your stomach is growling. I believe you need to eat. I was hungry, but had no appetite. I mean, I did have an appetite, but didn't have the energy to eat. Yet, I'd feel bad wasting the food Kasai had brought. I picked up my chopsticks just to humor him. I thought you were marked by Grandma. Is it okay for you to be here? Oreo-san is busy with the festival preparation meetings. She doesn't seem to have time to deal with you right now. Didn't you like croquettes? They're good. Thanks. While I nibbled on the food, Kasai read through the magazines I bought. Have you, I never talked to Kasai about something like this before. Since I've always believed myself superior to him psychologically, I hesitated to show my weaknesses to him. That kind of hardship is healthy for your age. Hey, do you know about that? Mion-san told me a little about it. She said she wanted me to assist you. She did she? She looked worried. Your sister is looking out for you. Without responding, I threw the last croquette in my mouth. I thought you might want to know how Satoshi Hojo-kun is doing. I've gathered some information. Would you like me to report? That's not necessary. But since you went through all the trouble, I think I'd better listen. Okay. Kasai chuckled, but stopped quickly as if thinking it rude. It seems that Teppei Hojo fled the premises. He seems to be staying with an intimate lady friend in Okinomiya. Oh! Okay, so he does that not prompted by, his wife being murdered? Got it. Teppei? Who's that? Oh, Satoshi-kun's uncle, huh? Their aunt, Tamai Hojo, Satoshi and Satoko are the only ones living in the house now. Ever since Tamai learned that Teppei had fled to another woman, she's been in a foul mood. So that must mean that the uncle is being even nastier to Satoko, and Satoshi-kun is taking even more indirect blows. I don't know about Satoshi-kun, but I heard that Satoko-san is in a bad state. The neighbors are spreading rumors about her. If Satoko looks miserable, that means Satoshi-kun must be going through equally miserable torture. Can't you do something about that aunt? Doesn't anybody talk about punishing her? She's also one of the remaining Hojos, after all. The uncle is gone, so why not the aunt? The main Sonozaki family ruled against further harassment toward the Hojo family after the death of the couple. They say the police might still might be staking out their house due to suspicions about the couple's death. Their deaths have been filed under Oyashiro-sama's curse, so the Sonozaki family thinks no further divine intervention is necessary? Kasai put on a faint smile. Come to think of it, it is hard not to suspect the involvement of the Sonozaki family in all the incidents said to be Oyashiro-sama's curse. Somebody strives to get rid of the hag's concerns on the day of the Watanagashi festival. Furthermore, the Watanagashi festival is going to be held tomorrow. Will the curse strike again this year? If so, who will be the victim? Now that I think about it, there were cases of multiple victims in the past. The first and third year, it was just one, but the second year, the victims were a couple. So it wouldn't be too strange if 2 people fell victim this year. It seems like a good time. It'd be best for Satoko and her aunt to be the victims. Alright. Satoshi-kun will be freed from every source of his worries all at once. Kasai, do you know if this year's victim has been selected already? Does Grandma make the decision? If so, sis should know about it by now. Kasai, do you know anything? Shion-san, I don't know anything about that matter. Well, that makes sense. That kind of secret won't make its way to you, because you're just a small fry. That's true. I've never received any information regarding that from my connections. But, as you know, the Sonozaki family has access to many underground organizations, which I have no channels into. Maybe I could try asking Sis about it, but she won't talk. She's strict about keeping promises, unlike me. If the hag told her to keep a secret, she'd take it to her grave. Damn. I hope Satoko and her aunt will go missing this year. Hey, Kasai, I just thought of that. Aren't you going to do something about it? Shion-san, you must be joking. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But except, I'm not. I took a glimpse at Kasai. It didn't look like he was actually going to do something to make my wish come true. I wasn't able to go to the village as myself, so I definitely wasn't going to the festival. I didn't care about that. Even so, I was interested in who was going to end up as the victim of the curse. If I just kept lying on this couch, playing hooky, somebody would fall victim in several hours. I had no clue why it had to happen every year, but I was certain that the hag was behind it. All the enemies from the dam conflict had been punished. Only the Hojo couple was left, since most of the other enemies had already gone. The cicadas were crying loudly outside. It made me feel hot. Why was it this hot and humid in June? If Oyashiro-sama was actually punishing people, I'd pray for one thing. I'd pray that the evil aunt would be punished, and I'd offer up Satoko as a sacrifice. It's hot. You're very sane, Shion. When I woke up, Kasai had already gone. Looks like he cleaned the table and the surrounding room. He put my dirty laundry into the hamper in front of the washing machine, too. Being a girl of a sensitive age, I didn't want a man to clean my room. Well, I'd rather thank him than badmouth him. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. I had to go grocery shopping. There was nothing left in the fridge, and I'd be having just rice for dinner if I didn't go. At that moment, the phone rang. It must be Kasai, I thought. Nope, it's gonna be Satoshi. Because of the parallel that we figured out in Watanagashi, right? I did hope it was him. He could have brought more food, so then I wouldn't have to go shopping. While I was just being lazy. I didn't feel like going out at all. But it wasn't Kasai on the phone. I knew it. Sis, where are you calling from? The house? Wait, it's Mion? Okay. No. I'm calling from a payphone, so I'll make it quick. Satoshi called me. Oh, Satoshi called Mion. But that makes way more sense. I'm a fucking idiot. Satoshi-kun did? He called you? It probably wasn't me he wanted. He called you, I think. It sounded like he wanted to apologize for what happened the other day. So I thought you should take the call. I told him that I'd call back because I was busy. Oh, okay. So, can you call this number? Okay. I was stunned for a second, but then recovered and wrote down the number on the back of a magazine. Thanks. I'll call right away. Good. He's been extremely stressed these days. I don't think he'll listen to me anymore, but I think he'll listen to you. She could have pretended to be me and handled his call, but she passed it over to me. Thanks, Mion. See you, Shion. Before she hung up, I put the handset down. Then, after a second, I dialed the number in a flash. Okay, that makes way more sense than Satoshi calling your apartment. I heard the dial tone 3 times, 4 times, and there he was. Hojo residence. He sounded like an adult. His voice sounded a bit tired too, but it definitely was the voice I loved. I got scared. I was scared that he might become sulky again if I mentioned my name. I couldn't open my mouth for a while. Is that you, Satoshi-kun? Oh, sorry that I called you so suddenly. Are you okay now? That was the Satoshi-kun I knew. He didn't sound cold like the other day. Yes, I'm okay now. Good. After that, he went silent. I felt the urge to start a conversation. It wasn't fair. He was the one who called me in the first place. Then, he finally spoke. Wait, it was Tatari Goroshi that we learned that parallel, not Watanagashi. I'm an idiot. I'm truly sorry for what happened the other day. I'm sorry too. You don't have to apologize, because I was the one in the wrong. If this were a face-to-face conversation, he'd be stroking my head. It was sad just talking to him over the phone. I won't forgive those people who forced us into this situation. You might be close to them, but it was never you personally. So I wanted to apologize. No, please don't apologize. I was selfish and didn't try to understand your situation very well. We apologized to each other a few times. Satoshi-kun, are you alright? You're working, and you're under a lot of stress. Isn't that too much to handle? I quit my job since I have enough money now. You did? That's good. You don't have to push yourself anymore then. That's really good. Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but he dropped it instead. Satoko has it far worse than me. Seems like it. Is she alright? Does she look alright to you? He suddenly sounded upset. I'd messed up. Sorry! I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I was so stupid. I had ruined this miraculous conversation with him. Satoshi-kun didn't respond to my apology, so I stopped apologizing. She's been hurt so much it's clear to see. She's so torn up. And everybody abandoned her. Everybody did. I didn't. I tried to calm him down. I hated what I just said because of how hollow it sounded. I had no idea what to say next. I felt guilty. Satoshi-kun was desperate to protect Satoko from their evil aunt, but I'd wish that Satoko would die tomorrow because of the curse. I was trampling on his desperate hope. Satoko can't take it anymore, so... He cut himself off in the middle, and went quiet for a moment. He must have been choosing his words carefully. Then he finally spoke. His words sounded hollow. I mean, I want her to have fun for one night. What do you mean? The Watanagashi festival is tomorrow, isn't it? I want you to take her there. Yeah, I can do that, but why? She's exhausted, so I think she'd be happy if she could get away from our aunt for even just one night. But why? Why? It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her taken to the festival. What I didn't understand is why he was asking me to do that. Was there any reason he couldn't take her there himself? I had a hunch that he might disappear, so I kept asking. What do you mean, why? Why don't you take her yourself? He fell silent. Satoshi-kun isn't good at lying or keeping secrets. It was clear that he wanted to hide something. I just have some stuff that I need to take care of with my work tomorrow, so I can't go to the festival. He was lying, but he was also stubborn. He wouldn't admit it if I accused him. Mion, can you take her there tomorrow? I wouldn't want to look after Satoko, even at Satoshi-kun's request, but I'm also glad that he's relying on me. I know it's ridiculous to ask for your help after that incident, but you're the only person I can turn to now. I didn't know what to say. I did know, though, that I wasn't going to turn down his request. Okay, but just for tomorrow, alright? I hope you'll keep looking after her. What are you saying? I won't do that. Just for tomorrow. He sounded as if he were going to disappear tomorrow. I didn't like the sound of that, so I intentionally sounded sulky. We talked about trivial stuff for just a little while. When the conversation was almost over, Satoshi-kun asked something else. Hey, Mion? I really hate asking this, since you might think I'm crazy for saying it, but... What? You... don't believe in it, right? Believe in what? In Oyashiro-sama's curse. What are you talking about, Satoshi-kun? Those who abandon the village and try to run away get cursed by Oyashiro-sama, right? That's the rule. Every kid in the village knows that. That's the rule? What's with that suddenly? Are you planning to leave? Though I was kidding, I wanted him to deny it. I'm not thinking about that anymore. He admitted that he had thought of it. I guess Rena told me that much. That's good. So you're not leaving the village? No, but I haven't been forgiven yet. Eh? Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but hesitated. He was breathing so heavily. Was he sick? Hey, do you feel alright, Satoshi-kun? Sorry. I'm fine. I guess you're tired. I think you should get some rest. He sounded distinctly more sickly from when this conversation had started. He breathed heavily when punctuating his words. Satoshi-kun repeated his question. Mion, I'll ask you one more time. Do you believe in Oyashiro-sama's curse? What did he want me to say? Could I make him feel relieved with my answer? How should I respond? The answer was simple. There's no curse. There can't possibly be. I didn't know what was bothering him, but I wanted to make him feel better by laughing his worries away. But Satoshi-kun instead fell silent. Would my answer make him happy? Or maybe sad? I couldn't tell. One thing was certain. I didn't make him feel any better. Sorry that I asked such a weird question. Sorry. Felt like I let him down, so I apologized in a rush. Whether it's a real curse or somebody's conspiracy, I won't disappear, and I won't fall victim to it. You won't disappear? No, not until I buy that teddy bear. I'll get the money pretty soon. I won't go anywhere until then. He chuckled. I knew he was trying to relieve me, but it worked the opposite way. He sounded as though he didn't care what would happen after he bought the teddy bear. Oh, my aunt is home. I have to go. Oh, okay. Mion? Huh? Even though he wanted to hang up the phone because of his aunt coming back, Satoshi-kun took a breath to tell me something important. I'll leave Satoko to you. I should have said yes right away, but I still couldn't forgive Satoko, so I just kept quiet. Forget what I said. Bye. Oh! He was obviously disappointed. What had I done? I wanted to apologize. I wished I could, but it was too late. The dial tone left no doubt. Now that was depressing. I get the feeling there's gonna be some blunt force trauma in this episode. Maybe not told in the first person. Okay, maybe. A torn diary. Achievement unlocked. Plea ignored. Ooh. A torn diary. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year. So I'm going to disappear soon. There will be nobody left to take care of Satoko. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I don't have much time, that I won't stay as myself for much longer. So I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Satoko? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back, bestow your violent nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind filled with hatred. Okay. Short and to the point. Alright, time for fucking hell. The day of the Watanagashi festival. Wait, are you glazing over it? June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. No, okay. What was I doing today? Nothing in particular. Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a light headache, so I lay down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I'd already told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked her to look after Satoko. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. Mario. That would be all I'd have to deal with. Oh, nope, they are glazing over it because she's deciding to sleep. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute, but people had stopped looking coldly upon her, even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her. And so, she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers, and the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first? Their poor relationships with the neighbors, or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She, in turn, claimed that their relationships with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged their reputation. What the fuck? I just heard a beep. Okay. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, their marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that, too. It was the fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband access to them. So, her husband would search the house for them. She'd find out he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money, because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the dam project. His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. They had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them, and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed its existence, they appeared to adopt Satoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. He realized that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustration upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship, so if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred toward the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her, by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Satoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in their aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him, though, because he was still just a boy. He bore so much. He covered for his little sister by lying and maneuvering. He tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Satoko and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. He passed by this street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He'd found a plain-looking desk, of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. She'd had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in the drawers, so she'd always open them to check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There, he laid something he'd been carrying all the time, until today. It'd be very hard to find unless you specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m. Hey, old pal! I see you showed up again this year. You'd better get ready for us.
You're as peppy as ever. Oh, is she a newcomer?
Uh-huh. This is Rena Ryugu. Don't underestimate her. She's good.
No, I'm not. Nice to meet you.
Yo, you too. I brought all kinds of prizes this year. There'll be a real battle to win. Try and take them all with you if you can.
Rena tends to dote on cute stuff.
Yeah, that stuffed animal looks like just her type.
What? Huh? So cute. I want to take it home with me.
Hey, the booth isn't open yet. Whoa!
Stop it, Rena. He says the booth isn't open yet. You can run him into the ground once he opens it up.
Huh? It's mine. I'm taking it home.
Rena lost her marbles over the stuffed animal. Everybody laughed. Everybody except Satoko. She was standing by herself, some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull.
Meep. What is it, Rika?
Rika walked up to Satoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up.
Forget your worries today. Let's just have fun.
Satoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change.
Satoko, your evil aunt isn't around. I know that! So, why don't you have fun? Nipa. 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 Oh, sorry, but I don't feel like it. Could you please leave me alone? Why aren't you smiling?
Satoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt. No matter how fun the festival was. Once she went home, her aunt would be there. The aunt would find something wrong with Satoko, get mad, and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun, even just for today, while knowing all that? Satoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika.
So, Satoko, if your suffering ends today, will you smile?
Satoko gasped. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Satoko knew that there was really nothing Rika could do. And so, after just one moment of freedom, Satoko fell into depression again.
Rika, don't give me false hopes. Satoko?
Rika's voice was clearer than Satoko had ever heard before.
It's already been decided.
Ooh. June 20th, 1982, 8:11 p.m. Satoshi snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 p.m. After the Watanagashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. So there were two types of people in Hinamizawa. The people who would go home for dinner, and the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbors in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody on the streets. On that night, the small village seemed especially desolate. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he would keep worrying until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted, but started running without hesitation. He felt as though he'd become a wild animal, running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Not only his running ability, his vision, his hearing, and his sense of smell. All his senses were keener, including his sixth sense. He could almost sense the presence of people in the distance, if only when crouching like an animal. It felt strange, as though he had stepped into another world. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear. Yeah. But now he felt as though he had metamorphosed into a different person. June 20th, 1982, 8:37 p.m.
Alright, everyone! Now I'm going to explain how the raffle works. Please gather around the altar!
The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Both the women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they'd held a raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onward to attract more people to the festival. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated, but Oreo, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had thrown them away. Oreo took the initiative and bought a brand new TV, a washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things for the raffle. The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Oreo was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough, in her opinion. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of equal value the following year, so this might be the very first and last raffle. Oh. How do I do my frickin' old man voice again? Thanks to you, we have such wonderful prizes this year, Oreo-san. They must have cost a lot, didn't they? We can reimburse you from our budget. Buffoon! No point in reimbursing that. It was never about the money. Idiots. Now, don't say that. This raffle's all thanks to you, Oreo-san. It's not like I'm doing this all by myself. Don't be ridiculous. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Oreo. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. He looked upset, so Kimiyoshi assumed that somebody probably got hurt in an accident. What's going on, Makino-san? I hope you're not having a heart attack. Wow, okay. Kimiyoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, still looked tense. He whispered something to Kimiyoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kimiyoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news. Oreo-san, I have unpleasant news if you don't mind. Kimiyoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Oreo's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kimiyoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino told him. Oh dear. This is bad. Ain't unexpected. What happens thrice will happen a fourth time. That's not funny, Oreo-san. You're right, it isn't. It's just another hassle. The police are trying to identify the body. I heard that the face was completely destroyed, so it'll be difficult. It's quite clear who it is, though. Eh? Do you know who it might be? Oreo glared at Kimiyoshi, then started chuckling. Idiot! It must be some impudent lad who didn't come to the Watanagashi festival. People who respect Oyashiro-sama won't get involved in something like that. Oreo kept laughing. Kimiyoshi and Makino didn't know how to respond to that. June 20th, 1982, 9:04 p.m. Nope.
This is merciless. Kuma-chan, every death is merciless unless the dead wished for it. They have my condolences. How's it going over there? Did you find something that could identify the body?
The forensic investigators shook their heads.
The victim's wearing sandals and casual clothes. They must be from this neighborhood. We should be able to identify the corpse by asking around. That's the way we do it. The section manager says this case might become classified, so be careful with that. Gotcha.
Kumagai gathered some officers and gave them directions.
Dr. Irie has arrived. Doctor, it's over here.
A young doctor got out of his car and headed in the victim's direction.
Hello. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I had to help with the raffle.
You must have drunk a lot at the festival, Doctor. Are you sure you're sober? Maybe I should run a breathalyzer test on you, just to be safe.
I'm fine. My assistant is driving.
Clever of you. Hey, let the doctor pass.
There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Ooishi and Irie pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. The blood spatters and the bloody sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk and indicated with small alphabetized plates.
I'm not used to seeing things like this.
Irie took out a handkerchief and covered his nose.
You should breathe through your mouth. Well, you might sense the smell visually, though.
The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like a middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain it was a middle-aged woman was because its face was completely pulverized. Okay, as if. Like, if just the face is pulverized, you could probably still be like, yeah, this is probably a middle-aged woman. Like,
this is brutal.
I'm sure it was done out of malice. The victim must have been murdered right here, judging from the pattern of the blood spatters and the soles of the sandals. And even though not many people take this road, the body is right in the middle of it. It's very unusual to see a culprit who would bludgeon their victim until their face was completely destroyed. Also, can you look at her arms?
Ooishi put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arm.
See? Spotless, aren't they?
Are you saying that the victim didn't try to protect her head? That there's no signs of struggle?
Right you are. I think the victim lost consciousness with the first blow. Then the culprit kept beating to complete the murder. The victim was probably lying face down at that time, judging from the stains on her clothes.
The body is face up now.
The culprit seems to have flipped the victim over in order to smash her face, even though by that point, her death was certain.
Irie looked like he was going to throw up, both because of the putrid smell and Oishi's reasoning.
Smashing the victim's face is clearly a sign of a grudge in my experience. It's a very profound grudge, too. That means the culprit must be someone very close to the victim.
I understand you didn't call me to resuscitate her.
Doctor, do you know who the victim is? If you do, I don't have to waste time questioning the neighbors.
Irie looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then, after a while...
Irie left the investigation area without saying anything.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
There. Are you sure? Ooishi smirked and looked into Irie's eyes, as though Irie was hiding something.
I'm not hiding anything.
I guess you're still under the influence, Doctor. Maybe you'll remember when you're sober. Let me know if you do.
Ooishi tapped Irie on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kumagai returned.
Ooishi-san, the section manager is on the radio. The one in the first car. Irie lied.
Huh?
Nothing. Hurry up and question the neighbors. The victim must be from this area.
June 20th, 1982, 9:39 p.m.
Ooishi-san, here he is. Thank you for coming here this late at night. I know you have school tomorrow. I'm really sorry to bother you.
No problem.
Where's your father?
My stepfather doesn't come home much.
Uh-huh. Since when? When did he come home last?
I don't know. I heard he's living with a woman who works at a club in Okinomiya or something. I don't remember exactly when, but I guess I saw him a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh. Do you have your father's address?
No.
He's living with a woman who works at a club? Do you know the name of the place?
No. I know it's in Okinomiya, and that's all.
What's your father's name?
Teppei Hojo.
Ooishi signaled Kumagai with his chin, who nodded while taking notes. Were your mother and father getting along well?
I don't know much about that, but I don't think so.
I see. I want you to tell me honestly. Do you know anyone who might have been holding a grudge against your stepmother?
I don't.
Alright. Please let me know if you remember something. Here's my card. My number is on it.
Okay.
I might ask to see you again for further inquiries. And if you see your stepfather, please let him know that we want to contact him. Kuma-chan, drive him home, will you?
Oh, no. I can go home by myself.
Please, let us drive you home. There's a possibility that the culprit who murdered your aunt is roaming around the neighborhood. You might get hurt too.
Thank you for your consideration, but really, I'm fine. Satoshi tried to reject the offer, but Ooishi and Kumagai insisted. In the end, Satoshi was forced to accept. He turned around to leave, when Ooishi spoke to him as if he remembered something he'd forgotten to say.
Dojo-san!
Yes?
Don't worry. It's no problem. We'll catch the culprit soon.
Do you have any leads?
Yes, we do.
Like what?
That's confidential.
Ordinary people might think that Ooishi was trying to cheer the poor kid up with a joke.
Well, usually people get pretty worked up when they commit murder. Though, of course, there are some exceptions.
What kind of evidence do you find when the culprit's worked up?
When somebody is in a very excited condition, their body shows many symptoms, like sweat, loss of hair. We often find the culprit's hair at crime scenes. Well, this is outside, so it's a bit different, but still.
Did you find their hair?
I don't know yet. The forensic guys are searching the scene right now. I'm anxious to see what they'll bring me.
Excuse me, I have to go now.
Please. Kuma-chan, would you?
Sure.
Dojo-san, see you again soon. I'll let you know if there's any progress in the investigation. Let me know when you remember something. Let's cooperate to catch the murderer of your stepmother. Man, Ooishi really just went yellow sauce, right? My god. He's being so fucking sarcastic. I seriously cannot hate this man. Alright. Let's go for a bit longer, since we're only at 50 minutes. Sis called the morning after the Watanagashi festival to tell me that the curse had struck again for the 4th time. The victim was the evil aunt who was harassing Satoshi-kun and Satoko. Satoshi-kun's suffering should be over now, since the problem was with Satoko and the aunt's relationship to begin with. Maybe I should have celebrated, but I wasn't in the mood for some reason.
Do the police have a lead on the suspect?
Sis went quiet when I asked her that.
I don't know. Ooishi seems to be questioning people in the neighborhood. He thinks the culprit is somebody close to the victim.
Being identical twins, Sis and I think very much alike. If I suspected Satoshi-kun of being the murderer, so would she. Because of this, I didn't have to mention the obvious.
Does Satoshi-kun have an alibi for that day? I don't know.
I heaved a huge sigh.
Are you stupid? He was at the festival. Didn't you see him there?
Yeah. Right.
I'm sorry I didn't realize that.
I heaved another sigh. Sis was stupid enough to forget to make an alibi for him, even though the murder of his aunt alone would raise enough suspicion.
So that means he did do it? That's not important now. The problem is whether he has an alibi or not. Well, the police are going to come here later. I'll tell them I was with him at the festival. Sis, lying out of the blue like that won't work. If you haven't done anything to ensure his alibi, it's too late now. Please just be honest with them. I can't trust your acting skills. You might raise more suspicion if you make something up on the spot. Yeah, sorry.
She sounded depressed. I was the one who should have been depressed. Mion usually handles things well, but she's not too good with emergencies. I was left worried for the future of the Sonozaki family. Mion must have been embarrassed. She soon changed the subject.
I guess you haven't been able to work lately, have you? You're right, I haven't. Thanks to you. I'm sorry about that. I'll hide somewhere until tonight, so maybe you can work today?
Sis has been appearing in public places during festival preparations and whatnot. As a result, I hadn't been able to pretend to be her. I hadn't been able to work. As someone who had to support myself, it was a bit of a pain. To be honest, I didn't feel like working, but I couldn't afford to be sitting around either. When I locked my apartment door before leaving, the door of the next apartment over opened and Kasai appeared.
Shion-san, are you heading out?
Yeah, I'm going to work, since Sis gave me time until tonight. Can you give me a ride?
Shion-san, wouldn't it be safer for you to take a few days off? The police seem to be staking out the main house. I don't think it's a good idea to leave.
I appreciate your concern, but I have to make money to survive.
Kasai might suggest he'd donate money to my cause. However, I had sworn to myself when I started living here that I wouldn't depend on Kasai. While I don't obey anyone else's rules, I stick to my own. Okay, yeah, that sentence confused me for a second. Kasai could tell that I was adamant in my decision. So, after repeating himself a couple of times as a formal procedure, he decided to give me a ride after all. Every time we went to my uncle's store by car, we stopped at this traffic light. I knew it was going to happen again, but it still irritated me. Pedestrians passed by in front of the car. I was startled to see that one of them looked like Satoshi-kun. It was him. Though I'd spoken with him on the phone just a couple of days before, it'd been a while since I saw him last.
Kasai, sorry, but could you tell my uncle that I can't come today? I'm getting off here.
What? Shion-san! Kasai looked taken aback, but I got out of the car regardless. The light turned green. The car behind him honked while Kasai was shouting at me, so he had to start moving. Satoshi-kun was on his bike, but he was going really slowly. I caught up with him in a flash and tapped him on the back.
Hello. Hello. I'm surprised to see you in Okinomiya, Satoshi-kun.
If I talked to him with a smile, he might smile back. So I smiled as brightly as I could.
Mion.
He looked tired as always, but as I could tell, he was trying to smile back. My worries suddenly disappeared. I was certain I looked happy. I was aware of that myself, so it must have been obvious to Satoshi-kun.
I don't know the circumstances, but you look happy. Yeah, I am happy. I'm happy because you look happy. When I teased him, he looked a bit embarrassed. It was like we were back in the good old days. I felt even happier than before. What's going on, Satoshi-kun? Did something good happen? Not really. My aunt died, and I have to deal with the police and the neighbors. I might have asked something dumb. He seemed to be okay with it, though. He'd frowned a bit at first, but Satoshi-kun continued smiling gently. He looked worn out, but satisfied, like he had accomplished something great. That was the mood I sensed from him, so I was convinced. The one who killed that wicked aunt who tormented Satoko was him. I had absolutely no proof, but I knew it intuitively. So I omitted all those questions. I knew Satoshi-kun's motive for killing his aunt, and how badly he was driven into a corner. I knew the environment and the situation he was in. And I knew Satoshi-kun's feelings. I knew all of that. So I omitted all those questions. I wanted to celebrate his release from that curse, so I smiled like nothing was different as I asked. Where are you going, Satoshi-kun? To work? That's right. I have to make a stop before that, though. A stop? I have to make sure it's still there, otherwise I'll continue feeling really anxious. That conversation reminded me. The reason he started his part-time job was to buy Satoko a huge teddy bear. It was being sold at the toy store just down the street. I recalled that the teddy bear was very expensive. Satoko's birthday was right after the festival. I wasn't sure what day, though. Wait, didn't he say he quit his job? Maybe he was going to greet his ex-coworkers and clean out his locker or something? Either way, he'd be completely free very soon. Maybe he hadn't been paid yet. That's why he wanted to check if they still had the teddy bear. Maybe he was only getting paid on Satoko's birthday. When we got near the toy store, he rushed to the display window. He looked relieved that it hadn't been sold yet. Good. Alright, it's still there. You've earned enough money already, haven't you? Why don't you reserve it? He probably hadn't thought of that. He really did need someone to look after him. I looked into the display window over his shoulder. The teddy bear wasn't that cute, in my opinion. It looked huge and cramped in the middle of the store's showcase. Really, it looked more like a display model than an item for sale. I don't see a price tag. Is that really for sale? How much is it? Yeah. I'm sure they sell it. What about the price? Wrong voice. Does it fit your budget? It's alright. I already checked. Satoshi-kun thought I was teasing him again. He pouted and looked a little sulky. There's no problem then. Why don't you go reserve it now? Then you won't have to feel anxious anymore. We entered the store and looked for a clerk. Is anybody here? Nice. Maybe you can get it without paying. No, Mion. Stealing is bad. I'm just kidding. Trying to make you laugh. Do you think I'd really do that? No, sorry. Satoshi-kun smiled apologetically. Is it gonna be fucking Mion as the clerk? That'd be hilarious. I puffed up my cheeks to tease him. It had really been a while since the last time we did this. In between those times, many undesirable things happened that I wanted to forget. But now I felt as though all those things simply vanished into the air around us. I found an old person napping in the back. Never mind, he must be the clerk, I thought. He looked to be fast asleep. Excuse me, you work here, right? I poked his shoulder, but he didn't look like he was going to wake up. When I did that, a middle-aged woman wearing an apron came in. Aunt. Grandpa, you fell asleep again. We have customers. I'm really sorry, you two. He's been very flaky, you know. The middle-aged woman shook the old man awake and told him to go back to the living room. She went to the cash register after that. That was so embarrassing. So, how can I help you? I'd like to reserve something. That big teddy bear in the display window. Oh, that one. Are you sure? That one is really expensive. You know that, right? Yes. I think I have enough. He'll get paid really soon, so he'd like to reserve it. The woman looked a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually wrote down Satoshi-kun's name and accepted the reservation. Satoshi-kun received a slip of paper. See? You don't have to worry about the teddy bear anymore. Yeah. I'll get paid soon, too. I feel relieved now. He would have kept coming to check every day if he hadn't done this now. He would have spent his time needlessly worrying. Satoshi-kun looked very relieved indeed. I should have done it sooner. Usually people do that right away when they want something. It's very rare for somebody not to think of that. It's so very fun to tease him. Those painful days seem unbelievable now. Satoshi-kun looked like he'd forgotten everything that happened up until yesterday. Anyway, thanks. Satoshi-kun held out his hand to touch my head. Was he going to stroke it? I felt my face reddening already. Even before he touched my head, I felt tingly, remembering the last time. I didn't care about the murder or whatever else happened. As long as Satoshi-kun had his freedom, everything would be alright. I'd be content as long as we could live happily from today onward. But Satoshi-kun's hand never reached my head. I slowly opened my eyes, only to realize that the situation had drastically changed. Ooishi. There were 4 men in suits blocking our way. It looked as though they'd been waiting for us to exit the toy store. I knew it! I knew it! Yeah!
Hello, hello.
The oldest of the 4 men stepped forward while smirking. I never met this man, but it looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi-kun. He was probably a cop. I ran a search for information in my head and found some right away.
Good to see both of you. Hojo-san and Sonozaki-san. I'm sorry to bother you at a time like this.
This must be Kurado Ooishi, the cop who's investigating the series of mysterious deaths. He thinks that the Sonozaki family is behind all of the cases. In other words, he's an enemy of the Sonozaki family. He has deep connections with other investigation divisions in the police force, and likes to nose around the businesses in this area. He annoys the Sonozaki family enough as it is by interfering with its Yakuza business, let alone his suspicions on the series of mysterious deaths. Naturally, as the family's successor, he's not a welcome figure to Mion Sonozaki. I tried to imagine how Sis would react. Oh, Ooishi-san. Thank you for working hard for our safety. Oh, the 4 of you want something from this toy store? A doll, maybe? Pfft. I know what they want, and it's not a toy. It's probably not me either. They want Satoshi-kun. I took a look at Satoshi-kun. He seemed a bit uncomfortable. The other 3 cops loosely surrounded us to prevent our escape.
Hojo-san, I'd like to talk to you about something.
What for? Are you taking him to the station? You don't have to go with them, Satoshi-kun. Let's get out of here. I pushed on his shoulder, but he just stood there, looking pale and bewildered. Bewildered? No, he actually looked resigned. Then, I recalled Sis's mistake. It's obvious that he killed his aunt from the circumstances. You don't even have to look at the crime scene. How could Mion have failed to create an alibi? That stupid Mion must have spoken to the police without making anything up at all. She must have not told them that she knew where Satoshi-kun was. If she hadn't done anything, the villagers wouldn't work to help her. It was just a matter of time until the police uncovered Satoshi-kun's complete lack of an alibi. The police were trying to corner him and lead him to confess. I looked at Satoshi-kun's face once again. He looked like a dead man. He probably didn't know he could refuse to be interrogated. If he was taken to the station and grilled by Ooishi, he'd confess in a minute. Somebody had to protect him. Nobody had ever been there for him. I had to step up now. But how? Would it be possible to alter what Mion had already told them, saying it was a mistake? That wasn't going to work. If I had more time, I'd come up with an excellent idea. But I didn't have that much time at all. To pressure him, the cops were drawing nearer. Satoshi-kun must have felt intimidated. He might end up turning himself in due to the pressure while I'm stuck trying to come up with something. I have to do something now. I have to say something. Otherwise, Satoshi-kun might give in. I have to save him. Ooishi drew nearer. Satoshi-kun fell back.
It won't take much time. Come on, don't be scared.
It won't take much time? He just said it. He just said he wouldn't let him out if he caught him now. Satoshi-kun, don't give in. If you give in now, everything you've been working for will be ruined. Oh. Satoshi-kun looked like he was at his breaking point. Ooishi was clearly aware of it. Ooishi smirked and held out his arm to grab Satoshi-kun's shoulder. I felt electrified when I saw that. That hand shouldn't be allowed to touch Satoshi-kun. The moment Ooishi touched his shoulder, he'd give in. He'd go to the police station and confess everything.
Do you want to know his alibi?
Ooishi turned his face toward me, his hand left hanging in the air. I wasn't very prepared for this. I just had to stop Ooishi, no matter what. I only needed to gain some time. It didn't really matter what I said.
That's right. I want to get Hojo-san's alibi. We must not be doing our jobs. We can't seem to confirm his whereabouts at the time of the crime. It's shameful, but we decided to question him in person.
You don't have to ask him. I can confirm his alibi.
Oh, really? That'd help. You already told me that you were at the festival that night, and many people could confirm it. It'd be easier if we could confirm that Hojo-san was with you. But I don't think you mentioned him when I questioned you last time, did you? Are you going to change your statement now? Even though no one at the festival saw Hojo-san, are you going to tell me he was with you?
That's right. He was with me.
Wouldn't that be enough? I know you were there with your other friends that night. I saw that myself. Are you still saying that you were with him? Isn't that a little too hard to believe? Isn't it?
Ooishi approached me with a creepy smile. Was he teasing me because my excuse sounded funny? I didn't think so. He was frustrated due to being interrupted when he was about to catch a big fish.
Are you saying that you forgot that you were with him, but just now remembered you actually were? Shion Sonozaki-san?
I did get a little scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I could save Satoshi-kun if I revealed my real identity. I was just thinking that, actually. I was aware of the risk. Grandma would certainly capture me if I revealed it. I didn't think of the consequences after that. Notebook page 27.
I knew she was gonna do this. I was hoping she would fucking do this. Also, CG, hello. Oh boy.
Okay, so we switch back to her regular voice now, right? I'm not Shion Sonozaki. I didn't go to the Watanagashi festival in the first place.
Huh?
Satoshi-kun and I were talking in a restaurant in Okinomiya at that time. The name of the place is Angel Mort. You can confirm that with the owner if you want. Ooishi was still smirking, but he apparently felt confused.
What are you saying? If you aren't Shion, then who are you?
I'm Shion Sonozaki, Mion's twin sister. Pleasure to meet you, Ooishi-san. Ooishi looked perplexed, like he didn't believe what I'd said. He frowned.
I didn't know Shion Sonozaki-san had a twin sister. Are you trying to fool me?
Not at all. Why don't you check my family register, whatever. Should I call sis? All the cops looked bewildered now.
Shion Sonozaki-san?
Yes, that's me. Is there anything wrong?
Can you come with us? If you're testifying that you were with Hojo-san that night, I'll have to talk to you too.
Sure thing. Please go easy on us. The cops gathered at their car and started discussing something. Looked like they never expected this to happen. I hope to be able to fake Satoshi-kun's alibi for at least a little while. It shouldn't be too difficult to talk to sis about this, then forge up an alibi together. Satoshi-kun, tell them you were chatting with me at Angel Mort that night. No matter what they ask, okay? I'll confirm your alibi. Tell them that you don't remember that night too clearly. Or maybe you should just keep silent. Satoshi-kun wore a startled expression. Though I was telling him something important, he'd apparently decided not to listen. Can you hear me, Satoshi-kun? You can't mess this up, okay? Okay. He must have been feeling deceived. No wonder. I just confessed that I wasn't Mion, but her twin sister. I really had been deceiving him. Are you upset? Why? Because I've been fooling you. Satoshi-kun started laughing. I didn't know why he'd laugh, because he wasn't the type of person who would laugh in order to hide something. I finally understand why you were weird sometimes in class. I'd been thinking it was a bit strange. Aren't you upset that I've been fooling you? Satoshi-kun looked puzzled. It was like he didn't know whether he should be upset about it or not. Or maybe he was only pretending to be that way. So, this isn't the first time we've met, is it? Oh, well, yes. That's right. Okay. How do you write your name? With the characters for poetry and sound. Shion. Huh. Huh? It's a beautiful name.
Ba-dum. Could you please come with us to the station? We can get you instant coffee or tea if you'd like. This chapter is very good. I mean, I've already said that several times now. But it's very good. Very good. Oh my god, new tip. Notebook page 29. Alright. Achievement unlocked, absentee present. Alright, cool. Notebook page 29. Either Satoshi-kun was smart or very lucky. Or maybe it wasn't him. The police found nothing at the crime scene to indicate his involvement in the murder. Yet Satoshi-kun was still the prime suspect. Considering his home environment, he had a strong enough motive. He had no alibi. The police had everything other than physical evidence. It wasn't surprising that Ooishi took a chance. He probably didn't expect me to step in, but what I did was too little to avert his suspicion of Satoshi-kun. Ooishi believed that Satoshi-kun did it. He was waiting for Satoshi-kun to fall apart and confess. That's what both Ooishi and I were thinking. But that hypothesis was destroyed later on. I'll not talk about it now. But Ooishi's theory will be disproven, and the police will be thrown into shock. Ooh. A question comes to mind. That is, who saved Satoshi-kun? I can only think of the possibility that the Sonozaki family invented the culprit. Oh, the drug addict thing. Okay. I see. Very interesting. Alright. Well, regardless, I think we're going to end this episode here. This chapter is so fucking good. Like, oh my god, it's good. I don't have anything else to say, though. So that's going to be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!